It's J Moore, the very best reviews. Tell them none can contest, we gon'
What's good, everybody? Welcome to the show. Appreciate everybody for coming through. Today, I got a special guest. His name is Scott Fowler. He's an actor. He's been involved in a lot of different things in his life, from being on the show we all know and are familiar with, The Godfather of Harlem, Law and Order SVU, a classic, as well as some WWE stuff I'm gonna ask about, and some other things about, life in general. So let me welcome to the stage Scott Fowler. How you doing, Scott?
I'm here and breathing, man. Good.
That's what's
6
up.
feet above ground,
Hey, that's always better than below, right?
That's it, man. That's it.
Definitely.
Thanks for having me on, man.
Oh, no
I
problem.
love doing these things.
Yeah, man. Appreciate it, man. Thanks for coming through. Definitely. So yeah, man, like we was just talking about, it's always better to be above than below, but it's a lot going on in the world, but we'll get into a little bit of a few things while we talk. First, let me say a little bit more about yourself. You verified actor with over 15,000 IG followers. Played the counselor Nathan Baker on Law and Order SVU. Recently appeared in Godfather of Harlem, season 4, episode 8. Prior experiences include, WWE background, commercials, and your television dramas, as well as a few upcoming projects as well. So definitely want to talk to you about some other things. Trained in the Meisner method, is that Meisner technique, and as well as a few other things. So first off, a little bit about your background growing up. Where'd you come from? What was life like growing up?
Yeah, I was born in a small little podunk railroad town in Maryland, called Brunswick. Big baseball town. I grew up a big baseball guy. I was involved in all that was my big sport growing up. That was kind of my first dream, really. Was to be a Major League Baseball player, because everybody that came out of Brunswick had to be involved in baseball somehow. So
Right.
I made it up to I played a little collegiate level baseball, until I threw my rotator cuff out, which started the whole the journey into professional wrestling, which I'm sure we'll get to as well. But yeah, the baseball stuff, that was kind of my first experience with and I tell this story a lot to people that when they're chasing their own dreams and this and that. That was my first real experience with believing in myself, was through baseball. I had this uncanny ability, and it started back then, in high school. So I went to school in Germany.
Okay.
I'm actually representing Eintracht Frankfurt soccer right now.
Okay.
I lived in Frankfurt for a few years. So when I was over there, I was playing baseball, varsity baseball for the high school team. And anyway, I set a goal for myself to be on the all tournament team, which was like their all-star team. Basically, they picked the 14 best high school baseball players in Europe at the end of the season, in a tournament. And
what year was this?
Oh man, you dating me?
In the 90s,
man.
Yeah, okay. Hey, man.
Yeah, man.
I graduated high school in 96, so
There we go, man.
Yeah, man. Baseball was big when we was growing up. Still, it was what we played outside as kids and all of that. So, baseball lost its swag actually after that steroid era and things, and because even with Sosa and McGuire and the home run chase, people would stop and just look at them at bat. They would cut TV and things. I doubt they would ever cut TV to see somebody at bat in baseball for anything right now, unless it was what it was. So
Yeah, I think the '90s were the golden era for a lot of things,
yeah, that was.
except pro wrestling. Well, other than the Attitude Era, but yeah. Let's
So
see.
you tried the WWE in the '90s as well, early 2000s.
That's when I started. I started training in 1999. I went to, but yeah, that kind of segued into pro wrestling, which was I anyway, to go back to that because it is kind of important. I started to believe in myself because I set a goal for myself to be on that all tournament team, all star team, 14 best, and I actually did that my senior year. You know, I struggled with it for 2 years, but I finally did it. You know, I made that goal. I made that a goal, and I accomplished it. So it was really the first time I believed in myself, which is super important. Because I was a shy kid. I was a shy kid growing up. I didn't have, I didn't have a whole lot of friends. I had a small little group of friends, and I didn't really get myself out there much. So that really gave me the confidence that I needed to put myself out there. So that's important. Set goals and accomplish them, and magical things happen. But yeah,
That's
then
true.
late 90s, I got trained for pro wrestling. That was just coming from watching it growing up. Um, Alongside of the baseball thing, wrestling was kind of my other thing that I had
Now,
with Hulk
what's your
Hogan and '90s
size?
guys.
What's your build? I mean, everybody can't just go into pro wrestling. You thought you could do flips and flip people and all of this, right?
No, I was more of a technical wrestler kind of guy. I was never
Bret
huge.
Hart.
I I was at most I weighed 220. That was probably the highest I ever got to. But I never did steroids, which is the big thing.
Right.
I was offered them plenty of times, but I never did them. I found my vices in pro wrestling other ways, which again we'll get into that in a little bit, I'm sure, because
Well,
that
we
kind of
might as
ties
well
into the whole.
go while we here.
Yeah,
I,
well, you know that my vice was, I started on the party boy lifestyle and
right,
acting.
right.
I started drinking, and I had a 8, 9, 10 year, almost 10-year battle with alcoholism. Man, I was drinking like a fish. I drink a
Right.
gallon of gin, gallon of vodka a day at one point.
Right. Now,
Um,
let me ask you this. Do you think that had to do with the wrestling and the pain and the lifestyle? And then it just, after it was over, you still had that issue? Or, I mean, like, and what was the steroids like? Not, I know you say you didn't take them, but like, what would people, you don't have to name names and stuff, but like, what would guys, like, how would it go? Were they trying to really help your career? Are they trying to make money? A little bit of both? I mean, I know it
I
takes a
knew
lot to do that because they do a lot of work. They work what if you made it 200 something days a year?
plus days a year. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
you kind of need
So
something.
yeah, you kind yeah, exactly. And it was traveling. That was the acceptable thing to do. I was always, you know what it was? I was always a little scared. And I say that because like I knew the effects that steroids could have on you. I knew that that was what it was probably take to get me to that next level, especially back then. It was a body business. It still kind of is a body business. That's what we call it, is body business. So I always thought that I had to have look a certain way, and I had body dysmorphia, like something terrible, man. Like I was, any little, I was in good shape. I could have the abs and the striations and all the ripped muscles and stuff. I had a
You be
tan back
compared to
then,
those
I
guys.
was. Yeah, but I would still, I'd pick out that one area on my body that had a little bit of extra body fat, and I was like, ah, no, I can't, and that would drive me nuts. It would get in my head and drive me nuts, and
Right,
that kind of contributed to the drinking. If we could, it all correlates together. Like
right,
drinking was a crutch for me because it would numb me, it would turn me, it would chill me out. I would relax. I'd be able
right,
to handle life, kind of thing.
right, right. I got you. Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting though that you didn't take the steroid because in the early, well, it wasn't early, but late '90s or whatever. I can't remember. I guess they were kind of making a big deal of it around with the baseball thing coming out. I remember they was even talking about McGuire with creatine. So now they push that like it's nothing today.
They were lacing everything with all kinds of stuff back then, man.
Yeah, yeah,
Lacing
yeah.
there traces of stuff and all that stuff. All
Mhm.
the crazy stuff.
I
But
don't know if I
I
would
was
have refused though myself personally at that time. So I'm gonna give you credit for that because I don't know that. Well, the needles and all of that part is the part that would have scared me. But
I never. Yeah, the needles were a no go. Right, that was the popular option to
yeah,
stick it to a needle in the ass, as they used to
right,
say.
right, right.
uh, I had pills in my possession at one point. I had like literally, I was this close to taking them. I was like, I got them. I'm gonna do it this time. This is gonna put me over the top. I'm gonna finally get the contract from WWE, because I did a few things with them. I did a couple. They would call me in when they were local to DC, Baltimore area to do like extra work and stuff like that. And I had a few matches with them, but that getting that contract, I always said I was a pill away from getting it, and I just never did it. I was afraid of what it was going to do to me, because I already was kind of a hot tempered guy, and I had a little bit of a temper, and I was afraid that would push me over the top. I'd do something crazy, or you know. But I would pickle my liver with a gallon of alcohol with no problem. That was nothing to do that.
Right,
But
right,
I no steroids. That was gonna. So that
right.
was kind of the whole thing. But that was just drugs in general. I never did any hardcore drugs either. I never did cocaine. I never did any of that hardcore stuff. I just pickle my liver with alcohol, man. I would just drink.
Yeah.
That
Yeah,
was
a
my
lot of
life.
people in our era knew about the crack era and this stuff, and everybody less than zero, those movies and things. So some of us got a little, scared of crack and cocaine type stuff during that era.
I was terrified of that stuff. Yeah, yeah. No, I was like, oh yeah, coke and everything that could kill me. I could die from that, but I could drink till I pass out and still wake up the next day.
Right, right. Yeah, that's
Nuts.
the
It was
danger.
just a crazy way of thinking, man.
Right.
Yeah, it's,
Liquor just take a little longer. That's all. The thing that's
yeah.
interesting with me with the WWE is I saw that Netflix documentary about Mr.
Yeah.
McMahon. It's crazy business, man. Crazy business. Crazy business. So you dibbled and dabbled in that about for how long you think that lasted before you decided you move on to the acting world, or did you start at the
That
same time?
Yeah, that I was in that I started training in '99, and I think I had my last match in 2015, but I really stopped doing it consistently around 2011. So it was over 10 years I did
Wow.
it. Um, yeah, beat my body up pretty good, and which kind of turns into why I started acting. From 2008 to 2015. I was pretty. I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. I was pretty worthless. I was uh I was drinking all the time. That was my life. I was partying, going out, womanizing, going. Who was the woman I could pick up that night with the drinking and everything that went together with that. Um,
You still were
it was
relatively
crazy.
young, so
Yeah, I was still in my 20s, right,
yeah,
like, I got it out of my system at the right time, I guess, but the level that I went to with it, like, I can't even put it one interview, a podcast couldn't even do it justice. 2008 to 2015, like I said, a gallon of alcohol a day was nothing for me at some points, like, that
wow.
was a
And with
handle,
you
a
being a
handle.
big guy, I'm sure you was putting it down.
Yeah, yeah. No, I'd wake up in the morning. I'd wake up in the
Woo.
morning, and that was how I'd start my day. It got that bad because I would shake so bad. I'd have the
Right,
shakes, or I'd
right.
feel sick, and that was the way to get it. And I was always one of those guys. I was like, I didn't think alcohol could make you do
Yeah,
this something. You could do it
physically
all day. That's
dependent.
gross. I could never get up straight in the morning and drink. But then soon enough, I was doing it myself, and it was wild. I didn't know you could get
Yeah.
addicted to alcohol. You sure can.
Yeah, I had an uncle that was physically dependent on alcohol, and he used to get up every morning to get a half a pint of Dimitri. He called it his
Mhm.
202. It was $2.02. He needed that just to get up in the morning. He had to get that, So, but he never stopped.
Pint for $2.02. If I would have known about that, I would have been doing that back then. I was spending a lot of money on that stuff, man.
Well, I think
I was
he
draining my bank account.
Yeah, I'm sure. Well, he passed away like around 98 or something like that. So he ain't get to the
Wow.
inflation prices, but maybe that may have slowed him down some. Who knows? But anyway,
Yeah,
It's crazy out there with a lot of things people could get slowly into, you know what I'm saying, without realizing it. Me for myself, we were more smoking and things. We smoke, drink, and all of that, but you know, we didn't get into the pills and things like that. That wasn't out. That wasn't a popular thing in the 90s and things when we were coming up. And so I'm glad of that because it seemed like,
Painkillers, man.
oh my
Yeah,
goodness, there are people going
that's
all
another
over
one.
with that one. Yeah. I'm
Hmm.
sure that was something in the WWE as well, wasn't it? I mean, I would need some if I'm
Oh
getting
yeah.
slammed around, you
Yeah,
know.
and that's another one. I never got into that. I could only imagine if I would have been mixing painkillers, and you heard about that a lot, mixing painkillers with alcohol. That's
Mm-hmm.
a deadly combo there.
Put you to sleep.
Yeah, literally all I did was just drank. I didn't do any of the other stuff. So yeah, I avoided the painkillers, I avoided the steroids, I avoided all the hardcore drugs. But
Yeah. Yeah. So
drank like nobody's business though. I could have been a heavyweight champion of that, if you want to call it that.
drink champs. They do got drink champs out there. Who knows, man? You heard of drink
Good for
champs?
them, man. They can have it.
The Drink Champs podcast is something else. But
Yeah.
anyway, let me ask you a little bit more about some acting. So
That's good stuff.
SVU, yeah, I like acting as well. SVU, what
Mhm.
tell me a little bit about where you live in the New York area?
So I've got a housing that I can utilize there.
Okay,
I've got
okay.
a really good friend that lives basically in Union, New Jersey, which is right outside of the city. So, yeah, yeah, I can be. For the sake of who might be listening and watching this, yes, I'm a New York local hire.
Right,
Um,
right. Which
yeah,
is
but yeah,
very
no,
important. I've lost some stuff,
no,
because
it is, man. If you
yeah,
don't say that on your slate, if you don't tell them specifically that you're there and you can back it up, that yeah, you can be out of the running just like that. That could be your disqualifying thing. And there's so many things that can disqualify. You know that. I didn't know before I came
yeah,
on here. I didn't know you did acting, man. I saw you were on Power Book, right? Or the
yeah,
fourth
yeah, yeah,
one of those
yeah,
shows. Yeah,
yeah, Power Book 4 and a
Power
couple
Book 4.
other
Yeah,
appearances or whatever the case. But yeah, yeah, you're
awesome.
right, man. Definitely, because especially now, really with the industry budget and they trying to make stuff as tight budget as possible. They not paying people for travel expenses or hotel stays and none of that. Those days are over. You're gonna have to pay your own way. So that's
But
why
on the
you know,
on the flip side to that's kind of a minor thing in comparison to everything because I was just thinking about this earlier today. Like this is the it's when I had this dream of being an actor 10 years ago, 15 years ago, I couldn't have done what I've done at this point. You
yeah,
had to go
it's
to
the flip
in-person
side.
auditions and everything.
Right,
Self-taping changed the game. Dude, I booked Law and Order
right,
SVU doing an audition 3 feet away from my bed.
right, right, right.
You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like that's crazy talk.
yeah,
That's nuts.
yeah, yeah. That is the flip side. And also by them wanting to work with more local, it gives more people a chance instead of them bringing the same people everywhere to the same stuff. So there definitely is some benefits to that. And I definitely agree with you with the self taping because me after my accident trying to go all these places and stuff, or all these auditions, especially if you aren't as close, or even if you want to audition to something that's maybe in another place, you'd have to be there. Whereas now you can audition for stuff all over, even if they was,
Oh,
local or not. Yeah, so it is wide open, the golden era for that. So you
for
get the
sure.
Law and Order, you book the Law and Order gig. Uh,
Yeah.
what was that like being a part of that world for the time being?
Yeah, I love talking about that because that's definitely my what I consider to be my biggest achievement so far. Um, that's the thing that I really wanted to do. Like when I signed with a manager, I told him like, um, you know, I said that's kind of a major goal of mine, is to be on one of the Law and Order shows. Yeah, there we go. It's to be on, and I just said one of them, but particularly SVU, because I used to watch that show with my grandmom and everything. You know, it was one of the things we did. It's been around forever. You know, it's kind of the staple. It's one of the biggest shows of all time, you could argue. So to even be, you know, have a cameo or have an appearance on that show is, and hopefully they'll bring me back.
Right. Definitely.
You know, I was a named character on the show playing a lawyer, so they like to bring those back around. So I'm holding out hope for that. That they'll bring me back for that. But yeah, that's the you know, that's what I consider to be my favorite thing that I've ever done. You know, I booked the audition, I got in. It took me. And this is a funny story too. I'll tell you a little sidebar. I don't know if you've seen on my Instagram account. My first audition for the casting director, Jonathan Strauss, that does those Law and Order shows, is probably my funniest audition story. I have a video up on my Instagram account of, I was getting ready to, my wife was getting ready to give birth to our almost 1-year-old son now, and I did the audition for the OG Law and Order in the bathroom of the hospital room where she was the delivery unit. So we were in the labor and delivery unit, and I did an audition for Jonathan Strauss for the OG Law and Order. It's down a little bit more there. Where we got down a little more. Yeah, that one there. Yeah, that.
Yeah,
craziest audition story.
And you booked it.
I know I didn't book that one, but I joke that that's what made me book the room with that casting director. It was probably so unique. Yeah, there she is, getting ready to. She's laid up in the bed, man, getting ready to give birth, and I did the audition.
This part with it too. You showed
no,
this.
I didn't send that part in. I should have though, but you know, I did my slate, did the slate and the scene right there in that bathroom, and I joke with everybody that's probably the unique audition that booked the room there, and then I did one more audition for him, and then I booked SVU. So I've auditioned for the OG Law and Order. The Organized Crime was the second one, and then SVU was the third one. So the one that I really, really wanted, I ended up booking. So and there's a funny story with that too. And you know this kind of stuff happens being an actor yourself. The role that I auditioned for on SVU wasn't the one I ended up getting. So that does happen. That happens sometimes too. Yep. So I actually auditioned for one of the guys that gets caught up in I don't know if you watched the episode, but it's basically a pedophile ring sting, the sting that they do on it. So I auditioned for one of the guys that gets caught up in the sting, and I guess somebody watched it and was like, "Nah, he looks more like one of the lawyers we're going to use on." So they're like, "We want to book you to be the lawyer, Counselor Nathan Baker."
Right. That was a better switch.
Hey, it was, yeah. I won the lotto on that one, man.
Right.
So, yeah.
That's a role you happy to land, but you don't want to tell anybody if you're supposed to be caught up in the pedo ring, you know. But then,
yeah, in the ring, but yeah,
you busted them. Okay, hey, I busted them.
Yeah. So I got the long end of the stick on that one, not the short end. So So I was happy about that. You know, that was amazing. I was flying on cloud 9. The seat on set was a blur. That show, so it was like a machine, as you know. I'm sure you're probably with the power shows. They're probably the same way. They've been doing it so long. It's like, you know, I showed up on set. We weren't on location that day, so I was in I had my dressing room on set there. Took all kinds of pictures of my stuff there, which was kind of cool because you never know if you're going to be back or not. So took a picture of my name tag on the door and all that stuff, and just kind of tried to sit back and enjoy the experience. Mariska wasn't there that day. That's my only regret. I didn't get to meet Mariska, Olivia Benson that day, so she was kind of the big one on that. But I did meet Ice-T, and he made a comment about my gear that I had on that day.
What did he say?
He liked my municipal gear, man. My Mark Wahlberg gear.
Oh, okay.
So he might have started picking up. So shout out to Municipal. Ice-T likes your stuff, man. So.
That's what's up. Ice-T seemed pretty cool, huh?
He was a real super chill guy. He tells jovial, and making cracking jokes with the cast and stuff. And the crew was really cool. The food was the crafty was unbelievable. Yeah, I don't know how they do that. That much money they spend on that, man. They got like a buffet in there every day, so
Wow.
that they shoot on site, on location. So it was amazing. But
Yeah.
yeah, the director was cool. He basically let us, I had a couple scripted lines in there, and he was like, he gave us an outline. It was like he let us ad lib a little bit, go do some improv, which was cool, and it ended up making it in the episode. There was a little bit that didn't, but the part in the scene that I was in where I'm like leading the Matthew guy that I'm representing there, where I lead him up and I kind of say, "Over here, dude, over here," or whatever I say. That wasn't in the script, and they kept it in there. So I guess I did a good job there, man. They like the stuff that I improv there, and then we
They
did a
did
cool
that
scene
with
out.
Power as well, so I can get that. Yeah, definitely. What was it? How'd you prepare for that courtroom role? What were some of the things you did?
I just watched a bunch of previous SVU episodes where they had that kind of stuff going. So and I've got kind of like and I think this is probably what they saw in my audition tape that made them, I do have kind of, and it comes through in my auditions, I have kind of that commanding presence kind of thing. And I think that's kind of what they saw and envisioned when they put me in the lawyer spot.
Mhm.
So I just kind of fine tuned that, and did a couple improv tapes of my own, just kind of practicing being a lawyer kind of thing, and what I would say. Because I didn't know what they were going to give me other than what was already in the script, but they said, come prepared to do whatever else might come your way. So I was like, okay, well, I got the final draft of the script before, and there were a couple new things in there. So I was like, all right, well, here I can practice this up. Put myself on tape doing that. Got my wife to help me. She's my trusty reader. She's gotten pretty good at it too, man. I don't always have to, I don't like the virtual reader thing. I like having somebody there that I can play off of, and she does a pretty good job for me. So
That's good, definitely. Because I've had people, I mean, they think they can read, boy, they can't.
they can
I
jack the
use
tape up, man.
Man,
Yeah,
big time, big time. I use We Audition. You ever use We Audition?
that's a pretty good one. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I've been on there a few times. I've read for people on there. Yeah, that
uh,
one's all right.
yeah. At least you get some real people and stuff with that. You know. Recently on the show we all watch on this channel, Godfather of Harlem. What was it like? How'd you audition for that role? And what was it like being a part of that universe and the set and everything? I know the set looked good and how they make everything. What was it like with that?
Yeah, so that was last summer actually. We're coming up on almost a year on that, which kind of crazy. It kind of shows you how long it takes to put those things together, man. Like
Yep,
season
yep.
4 just came out. My episode just aired, and I filmed it on July 31st of last year.
Wow.
So I was up in Queens doing that. That was that was a rare instance of, because a lot of times roles like those you don't get much notice to go do.
Mhm.
I call them. I pretty much say they're like cameos. I have a little secret moniker for myself. I said the king of the cameo, king of the cameo role, man. But yeah, those kind of roles you don't get, and I knew about that one for several weeks, so I had a long time to like really soak it in and get excited for it. And that was really my first huge opportunity. Like I'd done some other I don't know if you ever heard of the show Hush. It's on that all black network, ALLBLK, like the
Uh-uh.
spinoff of BET. Whatever. Yeah, it's I don't know who the
When you
owner.
said they should change that name though, because when
Yeah,
people say that all black network, it sounds like somebody's being derogatory. Like,
I know that's
you know.
some people know it, some people don't.
Oh
That's why
man,
I
you watch
spelled it
that
out.
all black network? You watch all black network? No,
No, man. No, yeah, that's not. That's why I spell it out. It's ALLBLK. That's the name of the app. It's a
yeah.
streaming service.
No, I
But
know
anyway,
what
there's
you're
a show
talking
called
about. I
Hush.
got it on my TV.
Yeah, yeah. And there's a show called Hush on there. So that was, I had an in-person audition for that, which was pretty cool. So there's a fun story about that. But that was kind of like lower level. I always put things on like wrestling levels. That was like kind of like an independent level, maybe a Ring of Honor, and then you know, then we got up to the WWEs and the AEWs kind of with the Godfather of Harlem and SVU. So, but yeah, no, that was I had a few weeks to get excited about that. That was an awesome on set experience. The director, I have a good story about the director, Carl Seaton, who I think he's done some of the Power shows, and he did a couple of the CW shows. There was a really good CW show that he did. But he's been in some stuff. Carl Seaton, great director, great mind. Great guy. You know, he was a collaborative, jumped right in there with us, which I can appreciate with the director. But when we got on set for that, when I was preparing to do the scene, Forrest Whitaker too, great guy, awesome, very, as my wife would say, he's a very snuggly guy. Very soft spoken, but just you just want to kind of give him a hug. You know, he's a real nice guy.
Okay, that's cool, man.
But I'm getting ready to do the scene, and the director, Carl, walks up to me and he says, "Hey man, I loved your audition." You know, as actors,
That's
where
good
sometimes
right
they're
there.
like, I wonder who all watched this, if they just booked me off the casting room. No, that went all the way to the director, man. He watched my audition for that role. And he told me, you know, he said he loved what I did with it. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah,
I got to
that's dope. And so then what was the scene for those that may not have seen it or recognized, what was the scene that you were in and what happened? How'd it go?
You know, I'm glad you said that, because I haven't gotten, you know, when Law and Order SVU came out, I guess everybody watches that show, because I was, you know, my DMs, ding, 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 my emails, and you know, every form of social media was blowing up. People sending me pictures and all kinds of stuff. Godfather of Harlem, I barely heard anything, man. I'm like, is anybody
Wow.
watch this? This is a great freaking show, man.
Yeah, I
You
know,
know?
right?
It's a legitimately really good show. Like, I wouldn't be
Oh yeah.
surprised if this season there's Hush. Yeah, that was from the Hush premiere in DC.
Oh,
Yeah, there it is. See the logo in the background, all black, ALLBOK. Yeah, that's the network. But yeah, no, I was like, does anybody watch this show, man? Because like nobody, I got a couple little dings about it, like, hey, I saw you on, or sent me a picture of me on screen. But yeah, okay. Anyway, yeah, so the scene was, I was in, I mean, you can't ask for a better spot. Like, I was in the scene with Frank Lucas and Bumpy Johnson, man. I was right in there with them.
yeah.
And the way they framed it, my character was called the Ominous Man. I was a process server, court process server. So I came up behind, I came up like gangbusters behind Forrest and behind Bumpy and Frank Lucas, like I was gonna take Bumpy out, man. I was there to take Bumpy out, but then Lucas puts a gun to my head, which is first time I've ever had a gun to my head in anything.
And that's when
So
you
it's
say,
like,
"Hey, Bumpy Johnson, you've been served."
yeah, and I tell him who I am. I'm an officer of the court, and hey, man, you're being served. And then it's like, what's this all about? Like, what's he being served for? So it was just a big mystery, and it was right before the opening title card, which is awesome placement,
Right.
man. I come on. That's probably my favorite opening sequence in TV history, man. I love that song. I love Swiss Beats. I love that song
Yeah,
is incredible. So to
man,
be
that's
right
a dope
before that,
song.
yeah, that just in case, man. My son loves that too. My 1-year-old son, I've got a funny video. I don't know if I put it on Instagram. A funny video of him, dude. He's crying in the back seat of the car, and I turned that song on. He's like,
Open up my
he
window.
turns into a trance, man. He hears that
Open up
song and
my
he's like
window again.
transfixed.
Yeah, that's funny.
Yep, yeah.
That
Open up
is
my
funny. Yeah, that's the
yeah.
song right there, man. Yeah, I
So
remember
as
when my
far as the
son
spot
was
goes,
certain songs that get to him.
yeah, that's that. Yeah, you can't beat that, man. That is a for an opening credit song. That takes the cake. I mean, it won an Emmy, right? The title card,
Yeah.
the opening sequence won an Emmy in 2020. So yeah, that's the
Okay.
stuff there, man. Yeah,
Yeah,
you
it's a
see
dope
me, I
title.
tell him he's been served. Then it goes to Bumpy, and then it goes to the opening credits. So it's like boom, boom, boom. It's really cool. So I already clipped that out, got it ready for the old casting websites. It's a
Hey,
good one.
as you should. especially, now I'm gonna ask you this: what do you think, especially since AI is coming for everybody jobs? You know, the industry already trying to cut money and budgets and things, and pretty soon it's pretty much inevitable in the next 10 years. Because we keep doing these 2-year agreements. Pretty soon they're gonna be like, all right, they just waiting a 2 year at a time until the technology is there
Yeah.
where they can just have 10 people to make an Avatar type budget movie or something, you know, or a Marvel movie. What do you think is the future of this, and what do you think people? My opinion, I think it's up to the consumer. If people keep watching the stuff, then they'll keep
We
making
got to
it,
keep
and they'll
people
put
watching it.
everybody in.
Yeah.
Yeah. But what do you
You
think
just
about
hit it
it?
right there. That's the ticket. That's the key right there, man. People just have to keep supporting just regular grassroots filmmaking and television making. We got to watch those shows that are still on broadcast TV, man. Still on movies coming out in the theaters. Stuff. Keep supporting the stuff that the real directors and the real actors are making, man. I was having a conversation about that. I have a men's. I'm part of a men's accountability ministry kind of group called the Water Boys for Jesus. Giving them a little plug too. That helped. I
Okay.
mean, if we go back a little bit, that helped save my life and got me. It's the reason I'm sitting here right now, really.
Okay.
I talked about that too in the video that I put up on my Instagram where I was on set for Godfather of Harlem, getting ready to go out for my scene. Talk about how I wouldn't be there to do that if it wasn't for them. But anyway, we talked about AI this morning, and I don't know how it came up, but it was like, man, there's people out there they're making videos already of people. You know, I was like, what if somebody makes a video of me with my face now and has me in bed with another woman or something like that and sends it to my wife and says, hey, what's your husband doing? You know, this stuff's getting
Yeah.
nuts, man, and it's taking off quick too. Like it's
Very
going
quick.
quick.
Yeah.
So it's scary. It's
Yeah.
scary, but
And
we
I
can
don't
keep
like
a
the
component.
reason behind it. They're saying, well, we have to because other countries are doing it or whatever. Really big in China, but
They're going to come up with something that, man, all the time. They're always going to come up with some loophole, and they're going to find a loophole to get it moving quicker too. I guarantee you that. Like you were saying, how
yeah,
it's
it
getting
sounds like
quicker. 2 years.
yeah, yeah, definitely. And it sounds like to me the same playbook from what they were doing with the nuclear, and we got to do this because of Russia, and we got to keep making this because of Russia. Now they're saying we got to keep doing all of this because of China and do this because of China. But I think this may be too much that nobody may be able to come back for, because this is paired with the robots that's coming, and you put this super intelligence in the robots, not only to take everybody's job, you know, pretty much, not just a few. So
James
uh
Cameron, man, with that Skynet stuff, he was on to something, man.
wow, he was way ahead of his time with that. And you know, another thing that I see that makes me really worried is when you read reports that police officers or in cities, they got a shortage of 300 officers and they can't hire enough, or you know,
I
people
mean,
are resigning.
Terminator cops out there soon, man.
RoboCop, yeah. Except
RoboCop.
it ain't gonna be
Yep.
the man in there. It's gonna be more Ed 209. But yeah,
Hmm.
that's what they're gonna do, and people are gonna be cheering for it because people that are police do make mistakes, and every time they do, now that we have the internet, it gets spread around and highlighted more than before. Sometimes for good reason, sometimes unnecessarily, but in the end it makes people not want to be a police officer at the very least,
Absolutely.
you know, at
Hmm.
the very least. Who would want that job? That's crazy. I wouldn't want to be a cop.
You're literally putting your life, your family and your life, by joining the police force. Like
Right.
it's,
For
yeah,
50
you're putting your
grand
life
or
right.
60
Yeah.
grand,
No,
that's
no.
not enough. That's a $200,000 a year job.
Yeah,
Easy.
you can't put a price tag on your life, man.
Yeah,
But
and
you're
then the
right.
amount of responsibility. Then they have them doing 3 or 4 jobs, counselor and all kind. It's messed up with the system. So, and then the training and other things. I'm not saying it's a big problem. It need to be unraveled. It's like a bowl of spaghetti. Okay. You know, you can't just take out one noodle. You gotta, that's a mess, you know. Anyway.
That's a good analogy, man. I like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. Shout out to the Flash and Batman.
Hey, yep,
Yeah,
that's it,
yeah,
man.
yeah, definitely. But you know, I just think, man, we and then I've seen like they got the robot dogs and all that stuff. You put the LiDAR and the GPS and the heat sensors and things and weapons, and where are we gonna run? Where are we gonna do?
We're
But you
we're getting away from all the stuff that made this country, this nation great, man. We're getting away from all that stuff, and there's never going to be a substitute for personal, real connections and real people. You know, real people and real connections and real interactions and stuff. That's we can only hope and keep our fingers crossed, toes crossed, knocking on wood, everything, and praying that there's a shift that changes it back to some of that stuff, that we keep that, or we at least keep that where it should be.
right,
Super important.
because a lot of those same powers love war too, and
Yeah,
because then they can make money selling their stuff.
that's
And
what I was gonna say. There's because there's money involved. The root of all evil, man.
yeah, greed, greed,
That's why
definitely.
I've never, and I get think that's something important to say too, as far as acting goes. That's never been a big goal of mine. It's never been a huge concern of mine, or is money. You know, I've never been about the money. Acting was always about going back to the alcohol thing. That's the reason I got out of wrestling. I got into acting because of I still felt like I had creativity. I still had a passion and a burning desire with a creative soul. And I wanted to do something that, number one, wasn't as hard on my body, but number two, I could do without having the risk of falling back into any kind of that lifestyle of that.
Mhm,
And so
mhm.
that's why I got into acting. So I said, hey, this is easier on my body. I can still be creative and stuff. And where was
Yeah,
I going?
that's
What were we talking
no, that's a that's a good pivot though, man. And what would you give advice for young actors or people that's maybe at a crossroads in life, that maybe they was trying one thing and now it's ending or whatever the case, and now they deciding what they may or may not do. For example, like you said, you decided to still be creative and do that. I got when I was injured, I couldn't no longer go and do a lot of things I would normally do, but I still wanted to be creative. So I tried to think of ways where I can still do things without being so dependent of physically getting or picking up or doing the traveling and things. So I'm glad the technology came where I can then pivot to doing the acting remotely with the auditions or
about?
YouTube or different things. What would you tell someone if they was at a crossroads in life and thinking what they should do in life next?
Yeah, man. I mean, you definitely exemplify someone that took chicken shit and made chicken salad out of it, as they say. As
Right,
I
right.
can, I really respect, what you've done. I was reading, you got a lot of subscribers, a lot of follow. You built a good brand for yourself, man, and that's super important
Thank
too.
you.
And I guess we can talk about that is branding. You know, perception is reality, man. You're only as big and as big of a deal and as important or whatever as you make yourself out to be. And I've always been really good at that, and that's why I've had a successful outside of acting career in sales because I'm really good at branding myself, and I'm a good salesman because it's just innate ability that I have. It's
Mm.
just kind of my wheelhouse on
I
things.
used to
And
work in sales also.
you did, yeah,
Yeah,
man.
I
So
got a
you
few
know you
sales
know the deal.
awards. Yeah, I got a few
Yeah.
sales awards right over there actually from the early 2000s. I love sales. It's natural, just speaking with people. And if it's something you believe in, that's easy, you
Again,
know.
AI, man. You can't build a solid rapport and relationship with somebody with AI. You gotta be it have that personal touch, that personal connection, build that bond with the person to be able to relate to them and get them to relate to you and
Yeah.
buy something from it. Buy what you're selling, literally.
Mhm.
But yeah, so my mind's all over the place
We're
here.
just
So
talking
going
about,
back,
yeah.
no, well, going back to the, so I got into acting because of, I still had creativity, and my only goal in acting, it was the money thing. Um, that was never a big goal of mine, was to make a lot of money with it. I just wanted to do things in acting that, because I was stuck in this. I'll never do anything bigger than wrestling for the WWE. Well, now I've topped that in acting. I've done SVU, I've done Godfather of Harlem. I've done stuff in acting that has done that, and that's a personal accomplishment to me. And I guess the way we can tie it into your question that you just asked is, set goals for yourself, but be realistic with them. You definitely want to shoot for the stars, but have aspirations, have dreams, but try to, break your career down into chunks, into steps. Make smart goals. Make whatever, that's an acronym, right? Smart,
Be
specific.
honest with yourself and
Yeah, be honest with yourself.
make steps, plan it out in the steps. You don't have to just say, I'm gonna be on the Godfather of Harlem. You can say, hey, I'm gonna get into acting, and I'll be trying to, hone my craft a little bit, and maybe train in a few methods here or there. And
Yep.
while doing that, I'll try and audition for some things that come up that I think I can land. Because you never
Yep.
know. That's the thing a lot of people don't know, is you don't know what's coming your way and what may be out there or not. Like, some people have asked me how you get on Power. Well, at the time I was acting, it luckily was in the area that I auditioned and act in, and then I auditioned for it, and there you have it. Had it came up and they were filming in New York, I probably wouldn't have been there, because that's not my area. I'm
Right
in
place, right time
right,
is
right.
timing is a lot of it, isn't it? Yeah,
That's
right.
right.
Being at the right place, right
Preparation.
time.
Exactly. That's the thing. When preparation meets timing, there's your opportunity.
There's the op.
There it
Yeah.
is. That's a key right there for those that watch. You got to prepare. And when you're prepared, when the right time comes, boom, you there, you ready. And you can take
That's it.
advantage of them opportunities and make something happen. Like they say, you don't know when opportunity gonna come knocking, but you got to be prepared. So that's the thing.
Yeah, and I would also say don't sell yourself short. Don't know your worth is a big thing. Know what you're capable of. Again, you're only as big of a deal as you make yourself out to be on Instagram. That's why I post things about, I celebrate everything that I do. I made a post recently about celebrating your wins, man. You get, pump yourself up, make yourself, because people see that energy is contagious. It's
Mhm.
they want to be involved with you. They want to get to know you. They want to work with you, whatever, because your energy. Keep it positive, obviously. But yeah,
Right.
no, anything. I don't know if you know, everything that I do, no matter how big it is, I usually have like a watch party for it, and have like a cake or cupcakes or something like that. I got my pin post on Instagram is from the SVU watch party we had, and we had
Mm.
a cake. It happened to coincide with my 10-year sober anniversary, which was pretty cool. Like, you
Yeah.
can't make that stuff up. There's no coincidence there. 10
Right.
years
Right.
sober was right there when SVU aired, which is wild. But, I
That's
make everything out, to be the biggest deal of all time, and it's cool. It works for me. And I think perception is reality. People
mm,
see something is if you're talking something up, they're gonna take it seriously if they take you seriously anyway.
right. And what you say is something I've said a few times on my channel, is that we all are the star of our own life, our own movie. You're the director, you're the star. You decide what you want to do or not do. And so, yeah, you
That's
celebrate.
right.
Everybody is, whatever you doing, you're the star of this. So it's a big deal for you. You're the star of this. Everybody else, even if you met Forrest Whitaker, he was a guest star in your life. You were a guest star in his life,
Touche.
and that's really how it is. Right now we are guest stars in each other's life right now,
That's it, man.
And that is it. You know, when people look and think of something else or whatever, even if it's somebody asking for change, they still the most important person. You know, they're still the star of their life, and then you just somebody that gave them change. You know, you
And then
know
through the
you
story.
exactly just another one through the story. So you know,
And
life
this
is
is a
weird like that.
short journey too, man. This is a short time that we're here, so celebrate all the wins. Celebrate it all. There's a reason to celebrate everything, man.
Mhm.
Don't be afraid to
Yeah,
make
you're
it seem
right.
like
You're right.
don't make it, don't be afraid. I would say don't be afraid to put yourself out there like that too. You know, you can be proud of what you've done without having it come off as arrogance. You know, it's something you
Mhm.
should be proud of what you've done and celebrate it. All the little wins
Mhm.
make yourself feel good and keep going. Keep the nose to the
Right.
grind, stay the course.
Right. Because the truth is with the problem with social media is that some people look at it as a competition when you should just be putting out your stuff and just be happy for you. And you see other people and things, I look at it as motivation. He doing this, you know what? Maybe I should look into this. I don't look and say, oh, they just this, or, oh, they didn't do that, or da da da. I look and say, oh, you know what? I should try something like this. Oh, that's a good idea. You know what? I'm gonna do this and that. Look at it more as inspirational instead of more of a competition or trying to dunk on somebody or whatever the case, you know. But it's turned into that. And then if you look into that into your feed, the problem with the algorithms is they feed you so much more that you really can't see anything else. And
That's
that's
it.
the problem,
Yeah.
yeah. With the old school news before a lot of the changes happened, you would see stuff you knew, stuff you didn't know, stuff you agree with, stuff you didn't agree with. You would get a mix. Now you get fed
Anymore.
the same stuff that you've been watching, which is a big problem, you know, big problem. It's like everybody
No
has
doubt.
their own personalized TV channel, you know, which is a
And some of the
problem with the future of Hollywood because how can you make something new, keep making something new when I can look at anything that's ever been made on my phone, whether I go through the Netflix, HBO, YouTube, whatever, I can see anything ever made at any time. I mean, it's really getting tough out there. Netflix gobbling up everything and then AI, I mean, whew, what
It's
you
just in
think?
your thoughts, man. You can think you think about something and it shows up on your yeah, they're talking about you're gonna be able to order stuff by thinking about it here before too long. You know what I mean? You show up, you got an Amazon package showing up for something you thought about.
Right.
There you go.
Like using the finger is too much now. I mean, it's
Yeah.
crazy. They trying to make it seem like if you paid with cash, it's too much and you're an idiot. I saw a commercial I was watching just the other day, and everybody was showing like a Chase Pay with a QR code or something. And then they had this
Ah,
one guy trying to pay with cash, and he
come
fumbling
on, man.
around, dropping the coins, and he don't know how to count the dollar bills. And then everybody else is like, boop, boop. You just a dummy
Yeah,
with
they
cash.
take that stuff and go somewhere with it.
No, right. What's scary is I heard about a lot of this stuff in the 90s and thought, yeah, right. And now with all of this
Those-
stuff happening, I'm like, oh my goodness gracious.
The James Camerons of the world knew exactly what was coming, man.
And
They had the insight. They had one of those time travelers come back and time
I
jumpers
mean,
come back and tell them something.
yeah, I mean, he's so on point. He
Yeah.
really is. And actually, the first one just came on cable the other day, and I was watching that again. You know, the first Terminator holds up really
Oh yeah.
well, except for a couple things like that Terminator's even outdated. Like with that vision, with the red vision, and it was tracking, it would be in full color and have
Oh,
lidar and G. I mean, we would be seeing through what, like, yeah, he wouldn't be looking in red with that outdated vision and tracking. No, it would be way. He would GPS satellite tracker. You wouldn't be able to get away
all
from
kinds. Yep.
him. So, you know, definitely different. Um, You got a couple other
Absolutely.
questions before we get up out of here, man. Ain't gonna keep you all day.
Yeah.
I see a few
All
people
good.
finally waking up. You know, they normally don't. I guess get up this early. But it's all good.
Sleeping in
Let's.
on Saturdays is still a thing.
I guess so.
I thought everybody was on the 4 a.m. grind these days.
No, I guess not. I don't know. But we talked about a few of these roles in the future and stuff. Hopefully, we got at least a few more years of the world trying to hold together. If so, what would be a great role you would want to do? Would you want to do some gangster stuff again, or some sci-fi, karate, action
Man,
movie? If you could
no,
pick one,
I'm too old. I'm too old for that stuff, man. That's the
you don't
reason
want to
I
be in
got
a
into
Die
action
Hard.
instead of no action stuff. Well, I mean, okay, I take that back. My dream, I've got my eyes on a role right now, and I've been telling my manager about it. I've been leaving them. I'm taking what was the guy, Simu Liu, that the Marvel guy that made a comment on one of Marvel's posts, like, I want to do this, or I'd love to be your guy for this, and he ended up in the role. I've been
Yeah.
taking some of that energy and doing it, man. Like, I found the producer of the new Crystal Lake series. I'm a big horror movie guy, man. I'm a big horror movie guy.
Crystal
Friday the
Lake. What?
13th is my Jason Voorhees. Friday the 13th prequel series called Crystal
What?
Lake.
They already
It's
made it,
filming
or
in
they're about to start?
no, they're doing it. Yesterday was day one, I think. Production day one. It's filming in New Jersey, I believe. But I got my eyes on that, man, because that would be another dream role for me alongside SVU. Would be to be in something with Jason, because he was my guy growing up, man. He was my like that was what I watched, was horror movie. Friday the 13th. That was it. I probably
Yeah.
watched it too early than I should have been. That's probably why I was jacked up, or still kind of jacked up, but whatever.
Well,
But yeah,
yeah,
that
the
kind of
first
stuff.
ones were jacked up. The first
Yeah,
ones, the first two Freddy's, maybe I get the first, definitely the first one, but the first two Freddy's, and I'd say the first maybe three, maybe four Jasons.
I'd go through the fourth one. Yeah,
Yeah,
and then it started getting campy. Started
yeah,
getting a little
yeah.
campy after that.
Yeah, they still had titties out in the first.
They did, man.
Yeah.
I go back and watch some of those too, and not to get too much into it, man. I'm like, man, I didn't know they made them like that back.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. But see, that was a different time. Now, what they would do is show a bunch of men butts running around in
They
reverse.
would.
Yeah, and like
I hear
almost
that
every
loud and
movie
clear.
where it be a nudity scene or a sex scene, you would see some
Yeah.
tatas. But now you see the man butt on top of her or something, or from the side they'll show his cheeks and she'll be covered up. I'd be like, who asked for this? Just
Ooh, you
don't show
slut.
nothing.
All right. Yeah.
Just don't
Wow.
show nothing.
But there it is. Yeah, that's it, man. Crystal Lake. I'd love to be on that show. Any kind of horror movie. I'd love to play a horror villain. Um, on top of that, what would be some of the other ones? That's probably, I'm content. That's another thing I want to say. I'm content with what I've done already at this point. I don't need to do anything else. I'd love to, but I'm at peace with what I've done. I hope to do more stuff, but it's a great place to be. It's a powerful place to be when you've done, with the SVU thing, like, and I'll always have that. I can go turn it on and streaming all the time. I always have that. So if I never do anything else, I did that kind of thing. But I'd love to do Crystal Lake. I'd love to do horror movie stuff. I want to keep going. Hopefully, there's more to come. The state of the business right now isn't great. I promised everybody I told about this interview I was going to talk about that. Um, I see people saying, is it the industry, or is it really industry, or is it you? Is it your? No, it's the industry. The industry is slow right now. My manager told me it's ungodly slow. People saying I've never seen it this slow. This and that. It's slow right now. I have hope that it's going to get better, but it is freaking slow. You can't come off. Look, man, and I hope you can agree with this. You can't do Law and Order SVU and Godfather of Harlem within 3 months of each other, have them air on TV, and not be getting any auditions and not think that that's like unconscionable. You can't think it like there's something going on when you have that and you're not getting anything else. Like that's momentum you're building up, and then you're just kind of not doing anything. No, there's something going on, man. There's an issue there. There's a problem, and I think it's freaking slow right now. I don't know if AI is taking over already. I freaking hope not, but and it is to a degree, but there's something going on.
Right. Yeah, it just hasn't replaced as many actors on screen yet, but I'm sure it's probably doing back behind the scenes work.
They're finding ways, man. Like we said earlier, loopholes. They're gonna continue to find them too. What loophole can I jump through to get this pushed through this way and save some money here? So
definitely. Yeah, and I agree with you about that because I was on 2 shows back to back, and then it was like crickets. It was hard to find things. Yeah, it's like they have spurts of production and different things, and if you land on one that's a recurring role, then that's good. But then also a lot of stuff only has like 10 episodes a season, which is shorting the seasons. It's
limited spots.
Shows. Yeah, it's fewer shows like a SVU that has 20 plus episodes a season. It's fewer of those network shows since so many went to cable. And then, you know, it's just very complicated. And I agree with you. It's difficult because that's part of the problem with local hire is that after you do those, you could have got momentum for a gig maybe in California. But because they want a local in California, they ain't going to do that. They ain't going to bring you out and then put you in something else with a bigger role, you know. So then it keeps people kind of boxed in a way where they can't go up higher. Everybody kind of stay at like a low end payroll, which then kind of keeps it cheap. And you just take 1 or 2 stars and fly them into places and pay them. And everybody else stay low. Because they can't build enough credits up to say I deserve X amount of dollars to do this, you know. And
absolutely,
you know, that's I love business, so that's just a little bit of business. But that's the problem with business because corporations do a lot of harm, and then they say, "Well, that's just business, or that's corporation." But corporations are ran by people making these decisions.
Yeah.
You know, whether it's putting those forever chemicals in the ground or, you know, whatever the case to whatever, you know, these people, you shouldn't say, well, this corporation did this and should be sued. No, these people need to go to jail, whoever run this stuff, you know? And so,
totally.
Yeah, man, corporations. And I'm also that's the thing. I believe in business and corporation, but at the same time, I believe regulations too, but also regulations can be too much where you have so much regulations, things can't be done, but you can't
regulate
where is no regulation, and then corporations can do a lot of harm. For example,
you got to find that balance.
Exactly. Like Elon Musk has that new factory he built in Memphis. Have you heard about that? And
I have not. No.
Yeah, so it's a humongous. I'll see him pull it up or whatever. But anyway, he got a humongous factory he built in Memphis for his AI for Grok. And so
fantastic.
you know, because he built it so fast. Yeah, so exactly, and he built it so fast they don't have the infrastructure to provide the electricity. It's enough electricity for 300,000 homes. And what happened is because they didn't have it, he got these temporary generators, and he runs them off diesel fuel. And it's supposed to, the EPA doesn't allow you to run these but so long or whatever. And that's one of the reasons he canceled the EPA and everything, so that they couldn't regulate. Exactly. So now they can't regulate them and stop them because he's behind with Sam Altman with OpenAI. You know, they used to be together, then they're not together, and then he's suing them. But he realized that he's about 6 months behind, and 6 months behind, you'll never catch up. So he built this
Hell no.
massive factory overnight to catch up, just so he can be in control of the AI. But what's happening is there's so much pollution. He's killing these people in the neighborhood, killing them. It's like 300 of these generators, 300 running, no, 30.
Make it make
30.
sense, man.
Yeah, it's like
Make it
30.
make sense.
Yeah, and this is all for AI and control, because you could be the richest man today, like Bill Gates was at one time, and then you can be Bill Gates today, and he don't want to do that. He want to stay the richest, because if the next person is the richest is Sam Altman, and he controls all of the AI, then he can do anything.
Yeah.
Yeah,
this mug's trying to. He's just trying. He's trying to be the king of the world, man. He's trying to take over everything. This dude.
That's the factory he built it super fast too. XAI is the name of the company. Yeah, man.
Lovely.
Yeah, see, this is the thing, man. It's just when these guys have so much money and they're buying up everything, like they can buy up Hollywood, they can buy up these Apple and Netflix and things, buy up everything. They get AI, they'll make everything, they'll own everything. It's just, yeah, we gotta we gotta be careful out here in this world, man. Definitely, man.
I'll give you a parting quote, and it applies to that.
All right.
Don't be part of the problem, be part of the solution. And he's not doing that.
Definitely.
And eat peanut butter, because peanut butter is good stuff. It's my peanut butter time. I told everybody I was gonna talk about that too. I eat peanut butter by the spoonful.
You sound like my dad, man. What you eat peanut butter by?
By the spoonful, man.
Why?
Protein, man. It's good, fills you up. Good quick source of protein. Fills you up, makes you feel strong. I gotta keep my girlish figure somehow. That's part of my charm.
I hear that.
Instead of snacking on some stuff I shouldn't be, which I do that anyway too. So my wife calls me a sugar monster because I'm always getting into cookies or cakes or something, cheesecake or something like that. But
yeah,
this is how I balance it out.
With the peanut butter.
With some peanut butter.
Encouraging Warrior says she loved medical shows like New Amsterdam, ER, Grey's Anatomy, and Chicago Med. So,
man, cool.
And Tika B says, Scott, you need to get casted in Tulsa King.
Tulsa King, yeah. No, I haven't had I've seen the I haven't had an audition for that. You know, I've had what are some of the other shows I've had? That could be a fun way to end it. I've auditioned for The Gilded Age on HBO. I had some auditions for that. Yeah, that was a big one. Poker Face, the Peacock show, Poker Face with Natasha Lyonne. Only Murders in the Building. I had a couple auditions for that. I watched the scene I auditioned for the other day. It was that's a good show, man. That's a great show too.
I recently auditioned for The Pit.
The Pit, great one. Yeah. You recently did? I hope you get it, man.
Yeah, well, I didn't. I'm recently, like 2 months ago, so they probably already picked
it.
But if you see a guy in a wheelchair, that was the role I auditioned for.
You know what though, man, and I admire you for doing that and sticking to your dreams with that stuff. You know, they are hiring people that are actually like you're not playing being in a wheelchair. They're hiring actual like people with disabilities and stuff, which is cool.
Yeah, I just actually recently a month ago auditioned for this role for a movie that they filming about when they stormed the building in San Francisco for disabled rights. And this is a true story. It happened in 1970. And first, like you said, they have you audition for one role and then another. So at first, and I don't know, maybe it could have been they didn't see me right but I did get a call back. but maybe they didn't like me for either role, or it could have been the distance. First, they wanted me to be the gay guy in the wheelchair, and then I said, "You want me acting gay?" And they said, "No." So I guess I wasn't gay enough because I didn't
They
act gay, and
probably
I'm
picked
not
someone
gay.
that was.
Well, probably. They did call me back though, and they said play the Black Panther, but maybe I wasn't Black Panther enough. They like, well,
Hey,
he's
now,
the lightest
hey,
Black Panther we know.
so, so you won. The moral of that story is though you won that casting director. You won the room on that one. You booked the room. That's great. That's
Right,
awesome. You
right.
can't. A lot of times you can't ask for more than that because those decisions are a million things out of your control, right?
That's true,
You had
and
the
they never
wrong.
tell you.
Your eyebrows weren't dark enough. They weren't filled in enough. Your mustache was a little crooked that day,
Right,
or
right.
something
You're
like that.
right, right, right. So yeah, you're right. So and they never tell you, so you just left wondering. So all you can do is the best you can do, you know?
You know, if I made my own casting, I would do one for actors. If I made my own casting site, I would put a thing on there where all it would be a button you could click that would say moving on or not moving on or something like that. You know, something like that. Just so you would know, you would have that note,
Right,
and all they have to
right.
do, they don't have to do any extra work. They don't have to send you an email. All you have to do is click a button that says not moving on,
Hmm.
you're
Yeah,
not being
definitely.
gay.
Well, what you mean? I don't get that question. What
Hey.
you mean? Are you saying I am gay enough? Are you saying I am gay enough? I should have got the role.
Oh man.
What you mean? I'm not gay enough because I ain't gay enough. That's what I mean.
Yeah, that's it.
Right.
Oh, there you are.
I'm just playing. All right, man. I
Cool.
appreciate you for coming through, man. We talked about a lot.
We did. It
Anything
was
you
fun.
want to say? Yeah, any parting words before we get up out of here? That you want to leave anybody with? Tell
I think
anybody about
uh I think
anything?
I touched on everything. Go watch season 26, episode 12. It's called Calculated, Law and Order SVU. I play Counselor Nathan Baker on that one.
Mhm.
Godfather of Harlem, season 4, episode 8. If We Must Die, I think was the name of the episode. You'll
Mhm.
see me right at the beginning, about 5 minutes in with Frank Lucas and Bumpy Johnson right there on screen, man. The three of us.
Yeah, definitely, man. That was a good scene too. Memorable scene.
It
I thought,
was. I loved it.
his wife was going to divorce him or something at first.
Yeah, that's what the right. You didn't know what that letter was. That's what he was being served with, man. And when I was coming up behind him, my wife was like, "I thought you were gonna take him out at first, because I came up on him like I had business to do,
Right,
Um,
you did, you did. And
but yeah,
before you go, I forgot to ask you, you got an upcoming thing, Beauty's Keeper. You're gonna be playing a police officer.
oh no, I don't know why that says upcoming. That movie released like 2 years ago. I guess they never updated the production status on IMDb. No, man. Right now, I don't. Yeah, I'm just. I had an audition a couple weeks ago for a NDA project. I can't really say it. I guess
Right, right,
it's
right,
not
right,
out yet, so I can't say it. But it was something
right.
for Marvel. It was a Marvel one. I can say that. But that was pretty cool.
That's big. That's
Um,
big.
but like you said, it's been a while now, so I don't think I got it. But whatever. We'll see what happens.
Right. Yeah,
But
that
yeah,
button
no, catch
would
me
be
on
helpful.
Instagram. Yeah. You can catch me on Instagram at Scott Fowler Axe. It's ACTS. Scott Fowler, SCOTTFOWLER ACTS. And yeah, no, that's it, man. I appreciate the time. I had fun. These are always fun. They always come out, drop some little gems here and there along the way. Hopefully somebody. Yeah, there's my Instagram. I post a lot of acting stuff, a lot of my other passions are health and fitness. There's some fitness content. Oh,
Mm.
that was him. I remember. Oh, from Godfather of Harlem.
Yeah, yeah. I remember
Cool, man. Yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah. My face was shaved. I didn't have a beard in that one, but fit the times, man. It was 1960s, right? Or 1970s by that point, I think.
No, it was still the 60s, I think. I believe.
I
Yeah.
did show up with a beard, and they were like, "Nah, we got." And they took me into makeup and hacked it off. So
Yeah,
But
they
yeah, man.
take care, and I like those places. It's
Eh,
like a nice personal barber and all that attention.
yeah, man, they gave me the good cut and trim on that one there. I had
Mhm.
a honey wagon on that one too. I had a trailer. That was my first time in a trailer too, man. I all the other gigs it was in like a green room or something, but I had
Mm.
a trailer, so I was got to hang out there. Call time wasn't until 5 o'clock in the evening, so I got to sleep in and all kinds. It was cool.
Mhm.
We
Yeah.
shot the scene outside of the Club St. Clair that night at
Oh,
about 10 o'clock. It was a little overnight shoot. It's
mm.
cool.
Yeah, that's cool, man. That is real
Fun
cool.
times, man. Yeah, yeah, fun times. But yeah,
Yeah.
keep up on Instagram. I'll post any and everything on there. All the wins, they're coming. I'll celebrate everything. I
All right.
encourage you to do the same.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I'm gonna definitely try to do that. One thing with me is I ain't as active on social media, believe it or not. So it's harder for me to be on there as much. I'm trying, but and then
You
like
got
when
like
I do
30,000
post,
followers on there, right?
well,
Yeah.
but that's more like me. I'm not doing it for leisure, if that makes sense. Not that it's all business, but like if I'm on YouTube for leisure, I'm looking at like the AI coming to get us or something.
Yeah, 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 yeah. No, I got
You
it.
know what I
Yeah.
mean? And like Instagram, I don't really like looking at shorts too much and all of that
Yeah.
scrolling. So that format, it doesn't interest me. I post stuff and do stuff, but like I'll post and do things and then I'll turn it off. I don't even get interested in it. So
Yeah, I got you.
yeah,
Yeah,
I
man.
need to get on it more though.
Yeah, build. Yeah, that's. I found that it's good for acting anyway. I bought into the hype of the whole Instagram's good for your acting career because I know they book people sometimes based on your how
Mhm,
popular are your following and all that stuff. And so I
mhm.
made a point to be really active on there for a while. I'm not quite as active now, but I've had a lot of really cool things to put up with the SVU stuff and the Godfather of Harlem and everything. So lately I've been getting a little back into it, but it helps, I think. And again, celebrating and keeping everything positive on there it's I think it goes a long way with people. So
Yeah, definitely. I may do that. I got a road trip coming up. I may do a road trip.
little
And
vlog or something.
yeah, something like that. We'll see. Well, all
Cool.
right, man. You have a good rest of your day, man. I appreciate you for coming through.
Yes, sir.
You stay blessed and more big wins coming your way.
Yes,
And
same to you, man. Right back at you. Blessings out and yeah, peace, love, and peanut butter.
all right, man. Deuces, man.
See y'all later,
See
man.
you later, man. Peace. All right, y'all. There you have it. I'm speaking with Scott. Appreciate him for coming through. Appreciate everybody that came this morning to check out the live, and everybody that's watching on the replays and on the clips. Thanks for watching. I appreciate all your support, and I'll see you on the next one. Deuces.